Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Fred Speaks. I pray this podcast finds you in the best of health and spirits. And I want to encourage everyone to continue to take the necessary precautions to wash your hands and wear your face mask during this pandemic. Welcome, friends. This is Fred, the host of Fred Speaks. I am super excited about this episode. The topic for this episode is breakups. And I was reading a quote the other day that I thought was very interesting. And the quote reads, "God created you to enjoy and thrive and love that lasts. Hearts weren't built to be borrowed." And I was thinking about that quote and how, we say that we want something that is going to last, especially with, relationships. And oftentimes our actions are totally opposite of that. We pursue the things that normally are not going to last, but it seems like the right thing to do because we want somebody in our lives that we oftentimes make a lot of bad choices. And it's interesting that, in the quote it says, hearts weren't built to be borrowed. And I don't know about you, but I think back over the course of my life and relationships and things, and how, you open up and you allow somebody to borrow your heart. And knowing that it's not anything that is going to last, but we find ourselves opening up to a lot of different things. And because of that, we find ourselves either being heartbroken or we end up breaking up with someone. And it's not an easy thing when you have to experience breakups. One of the things that comes to mind, and I know in my situations, have been, you think about the time that you put in and you invested in something, and then only for it to not work. And that can be very painful. But again, a lot of times the decisions that we make is built on emotion alone, and not really looking at the situation for longevity, for somebody that is going to meet your needs and desires, and not only naturally so, but also spiritually. So basically having somebody that you are on the same level with, and going in the same direction. And a lot of times we know these things right up front before we even start to go down that road. But again, we let our emotions get the best of us, and we make the decision to move forward. And there are some situations where we feel that we've done our due diligence, and we've given the situation time before actually going all in. And then some of those situations just don't work out. And, but it doesn't change the fact that, you're heartbroken and you have to experience a breakup. But whatever the case is that leads us to having to experience a breakup, number one, it's okay to cry. I feel that crying is a way to express that, you feel that you are touched by something. And I was thinking about, Alcoholic Anonymous, how that one of the first steps is to acknowledge that I'm alcoholic. So, in a breakup, just walking around trying to be hard like it doesn't faze you and or whatever, that's not going to help you get anywhere. The first thing you got to do is acknowledge that, hey, I'm heartbroken, I'm hurt, and being able to cry and let it out, and that's not something you got to put the burden on somebody else to, it's good if you do have somebody, that's there that you can cry and express the things that you are dealing with. But most of all, you need to be able to have the time that you can, be alone and cry and just get it out, the different feelings and emotions that, you have in regards to the breakup. But at some point you need to, be able to cry, and then you need to start to move forward. So number two, don't try again too quickly. And what I mean by that, you hear people say the best way to get over a relationship is to get into something else. And I don't agree with that. I don't believe you should jump into something right away to try to ease your pain and to comfort yourself. I don't believe you should do that, because there's an innocent person that you're dealing with that had nothing to do with your breakup, but they could, suffer consequences of your pain because you're really going through, and to you it's just a comfort thing, but they may start to develop, feelings for you, or want to, really get to know you, and you're pretty much shut off because you're still dealing with the pain, the hurt from the breakup. So I definitely don't recommend, to jump into something right away. You need to give yourself some time to heal, to get over the breakup with the person that you're with. And number three is learn from the breakup. You hear a lot of people when they're talking about a breakup, the first thing that they want to do is really run down the other person that was in the relationship, and basically expressing all of the things that they did wrong, and they should have known better, or they should have, caught it early on, or paid attention to this or that or whatever. And they blame everything that went wrong or led to the breakup on this other person. But I believe, in all fairness, we need to also look at ourselves. When it comes to a breakup, it was two parties involved. And so, it would be definitely one-sided to say that this other person was everything they did was wrong and everything I did was right. So you have to look at yourself and see, where you contributed to the breakup, and learn from that, and how you can improve on yourself, that you don't take that into your next relationship. And number 4, a lot of times, especially when it comes to matters of the heart, the first thing we want to do is blame God. That if God had intervened, and if God had done this, or why would God have allowed this to happen? He knows how much I cared about this person and wanted to be with this person, and he allowed it to end like this. Well, I want to tell you that we failed, but God didn't fail. God is good. God is awesome. God is great. And a lot of times God warned us and tried to get our attention regarding certain things in regards to the relationships that we're in, but we ignored them because because we were so vested into the relationship that even God couldn't reach us. He gave us signs and warnings, but we ignored them. I know I've been guilty of it. It was right in front of my face, a lot of different things, but I did not even want to see that. I didn't look for it because all I knew is that I wanted to be with the person. So it ending or something bad happening was not in my thoughts at all. And like I said, the first thing we want to do is blame God. But God is not at fault. A lot of times we make decisions, we get involved with different people based on our emotions and, just wanting to have somebody in our life. And we don't even consult God. We don't even, try to get, some guidance. But we may make up our minds that's the direction that we're going to go. But I will say that God didn't fail. And God is not at fault. We're not robots. We're free-willed individuals and people. And God gives us a choice, allows us to make a choice. Especially when it comes to, relationships. So I don't want, and I hope you don't want, ever get in that place where you're blaming God for a breakup or a failed relationship. And number 4 is Jesus will help you find joy even in the shadows of a heartbreak or a breakup. And even though there may have been warnings and signs, hey, you don't need to get involved with this, or you should get out of it, and we ignored it. Even though that occurred, God still wants us to have joy and to have peace in our lives. And just touching back on the quote, our hearts are built for something that is everlasting, that's going to last. And that's what is very important, is that the love that we can have for somebody, we need to always keep that in perspective, that God needs to be number one. He needs to be the number one relationship in our lives. And every time I've gone back and looked at different things that have gone wrong with relationships and things that I was involved with, and I go back and I look at it, and I start to see where in most of those I had started to drift away from God. God became less of a priority, and this individual became more of a priority over God. And I'm not saying that's a situation for everyone, but I'm saying in my case, That's the thing I noticed when I really started to look at, the breakup and everything that was involved with that relationship. And so it's not that God doesn't want to restore your joy and your peace, but God at the same time wants to know that if I bring you out of this, if I heal your broken heart, I gotta know, I want to know that you'll put me first, that you'll love me more than anything or anybody, that I'll come before, significant other, before husband, before wife, before children, before anybody. He wants to be number one. And you may be asking the question, but why? So God wants to be number one because if he's number one, he will show you how to love the ones that are in your life, your loved ones. He will show you how to do that it will not interfere with the love for him, because he's got to be number one. And that's been my evaluation on my life, is that every time I went back and looked at the relationships that didn't work out and they failed, I saw where I had gotten away from God and I had drifted. And also the other thing to look at is that, some things are just not meant to be. You're not meant to be with certain people. And I know we don't, when you love somebody, you don't want to think about that. You're like, man, I love them. I don't want to hear all this other stuff. But it's not meant to be. And that person may only be in your life for a period of time. And when that period of time is reached, then you got to move. But our hearts are built for something that is going to last. And I want to tell you this, I can't guarantee you that you'll ever have a love for anybody that will last into eternity. That as long as you're on this earth, that this one individual will be it. And you will love them, and you guys will, be that couple that grow old together, and you're sitting on the porch and you're rocking chairs. I can't guarantee you that. But one thing I can guarantee you is if you have that number one relationship, which is with God, and you love God, and you know he loves you, and you love God, I can guarantee you that that's a love that will last. That will last forever. That nothing will be able to separate that. But when it comes to breakups, as I said, he wants to heal your broken heart. He wants to be the one that you can say, hey, I didn't have to go to the rebound guy or the rebound woman. I didn't have to go through that. But my God, he was the one that helped me through it. He was the one that mended my broken heart. He was the one that lifted up my head. He was the one that wiped my tears away. So I just want to say that if you're really serious about getting over the breakup, that God is the source. He is the one that will be able to see you through. But you're going to have to make him a promise, a commitment that I'm going to love you more than anybody or anything. You're going to be the first in my life. Because you think about it, if you're experiencing a breakup, now you feel like you're all alone. But God is saying that I never left you. I'm here. I know you want to pick up the phone and call this person, or you want to be comforted by this person or whatever. But I'm here. I've been here all the time. I was just waiting on you to acknowledge that you need me and that you can't make it without me. Because when everything is all said and done and you really look around, you need God. I need God. Because people can come and go. They can be in your life one moment and gone the next. But God remains true. He'll be there. He'll be with you even if you end up on your sick bed and nobody wants to come around to see you. God will be there. And so I want to encourage anybody who is experiencing a breakup or has gone through a breakup that you can get through it. You can get through it, but it's with God's help. Because you don't want to be, someone who, just carry baggage over and over into relationships. You need to have that time where you're by yourself and you can really focus on your relationship with God and allow God to mend your heart. Don't try to do it on your own, because our way of doing things, trying to find somebody else and I need somebody to hang out with and chill with, those things, they don't fix the problem. They only add to the problem. But somewhere we all need to just take the time and allow God to do the work, because God knows what we need, and we won't have to go chasing after it, but He'll just give it to us. He'll open the door. He'll make the way for us to have it. So whoever it is that it's meant for you, God will make it possible. So I pray that everyone was able to get something out of this episode. And I would like to encourage you to join us for another episode of Fred Speaks. Thank you.